Well, hello everyone, this is Evelina. I am a life coach for immigrants, and today we are going to talk about guilt. If you are an immigrant, this could be an emotion you are very familiar with. Many of my clients experience it, and so do I. And we have a lot to cover today, so we are going to jump right into it. Let's start from the basics. What is guilt? It's a feeling, right? What is a feeling? It's a vibration that you feel within your body. For some of you, guilt feels like a dark mass sitting around the chest area. For others, it might be a slow-moving pressure around your shoulders. Some might feel it deep in their belly. It might be a dark, slow-moving ball that is shifting from left to right. We all experience it a bit differently. All right, so what creates guilt? What creates feelings? Your thoughts. Thoughts that you have about a specific circumstance, specific situation, specific person, an event from the past, your current situation. That's what creates the feeling of guilt. You might be feeling guilty because you left your parents and your siblings and the rest of your family in your country of origin. Maybe one of your parents died and you didn't get to go to the funeral for various reasons. Maybe it was another family member, but since you believe you should have been there for their funeral, you might be really beating yourself up for not attending. Maybe you feel guilty because as an immigrant, you have not been able to find a job that would allow your wife to stay home and raise your kids. So you feel guilty because you think you should be a better provider. Maybe one of your family members was going through a very tough time and you were not there to support them. And today, you think that you are a bad person for not being there for them. Maybe you feel guilty because your life is really good, but you know other people living in your country of origin did not have the opportunities you had, and you feel guilty for having the financial abundance and enjoying it. Maybe you have said something really mean to someone when you were a kid, and you still remember that person's reaction, and you know that you have crushed their spirit, and you still carry that guilt around. Maybe you are a refugee. Maybe you've escaped war, but others didn't and they died. You might be dealing with survivor's guilt. Maybe you feel like you could have done something to prevent the deaths of the people you've lost. Or maybe you just think that you shouldn't even be here right now because the ones who died deserved to live more than you did. There are so many different reasons why we might be feeling guilty. Overall, we typically feel it because we think we have done something wrong. And no matter what might be your reason for feeling guilty, keep on listening because today I will simplify it so that it's easy for you to understand what is actually happening. Why are you feeling guilty? So guilt is a feeling, right? And what creates feelings? Your thoughts are what is creating your feeling of guilt. Your thoughts create other feelings too, but if you want to know why you feel guilty about something, you first need to look at your thoughts. And the best way to do that is by simply writing out what are you thinking about this one specific circumstance you have guilt around. So, if you feel guilty because your dad died and you couldn't fly to the funeral, what do you think about this situation specifically? What are you saying to yourself about it? Maybe it's something like, I should have been there. I am a bad daughter for not making it there on time. I should have never left my country. I should have stayed and helped him when he was sick. I am a selfish person for moving away. I should have tried to make it work, and I will never forgive myself for it. So these kind of thoughts would create a feeling of guilt and regret, maybe sadness, right? When you write it out, you can see exactly where that emotion is coming from. This also explains why, even with the feeling of guilt, you are still able to live your life. Even if you feel really guilty about something, you are not thinking about it all of the time. It might kind of feel like you're thinking about it a lot, but to live your life, you have to be thinking about other things. You're gonna have thoughts about other things, not just your guilt. So from time to time, some of you more often than others will have these thoughts about very specific situation in your life, and these thoughts will create a feeling of guilt. You might be thinking, I should have never done this. I cannot believe I did this. Everyone knows that I am a bad person. And again, these kind of thoughts will create that feeling. If you want to understand yourself better and get a grip on it, the first step would be to write down your thoughts. What is it that you're thinking about it? And then the next step is gonna be exploring how this affects your life. So for example, when you feel guilty because you have not gone to your dad's funeral, what do you do? How is that affecting your life? Right? Your feelings cause action. So what is that feeling of guilt causing you to do? It could be that from time to time you think about it and you're beating yourself up for it. And the more you beat yourself up for it, the worse you feel. You're not enjoying your life. You feel bad. And because you feel bad, you might be having that extra glass of wine, or few extra pieces of pizza, or maybe you are procrastinating more and watching more TV and not doing the things you want to be doing for your business or at your home. We all react a bit differently, but overall, guilt is one of those emotions that will often paralyze us to some degree, or will cause us to make the choices that majority of the time lead to some negative consequences. This is why it's important to explore it. Because at the end of the day, what is the upside to feeling guilty? Well, let's say that your dad passed away a few years ago, but you couldn't leave the country you moved to because it would have been nearly impossible for you to get back. This could be simply related to visa problems. So, your dad died, and you didn't go, and ever since this happened, you feel very guilty about it. You also feel like a really bad person. You've failed your mom and your siblings, and everyone back home thinks that you are incredibly selfish, and they cannot believe that you did something so horrible. So now you are beating yourself up for it every day. You've noticed that you have been feeling low, but you kind of don't know exactly why. Why is that when friends invite you out, you don't always feel like going and having fun? You tend to spend a lot of time alone. Maybe you have the 2 glasses of wine in the evening when you used to have one. You're just not happy or motivated to work, and overall your quality of life is not what it used to be. On the outside, things look normal, but deep inside you carry this guilt around and you think about it every day. The guilt is causing you to behave this way, to not to do the things that you used to do, to be beating yourself up for what you have done or the fact that you didn't go to the funeral. Like, that is what is unfolding as the next step. But truth is this: Your dad passed. There is nothing you can do about it. Our loved ones die. We will die one day. We don't know when. We are all counting on living long. But who knows when the end is gonna actually happen? I could die tomorrow while driving grocery shopping. You could die tonight. We simply don't know. But life is 50-50, and half of it is good and half is bad. And death is part of it. Now you are a complex human being. You can think all different kinds of thoughts that will cause all different kinds of emotions, that will lead you to be doing different things, good things and bad things. Now, we often expect ourselves to always make the right decisions, always do the right thing. And when we don't, we beat ourselves up for it. The truth is, yes, sometimes you are selfish. And me too. Sometimes I'm selfish too. And sometimes you're angry and you might say things that will cause others to have thoughts that will create hurtful feelings. I'm gonna say this again, and I'm gonna say it slower because it sounds kind of complicated, but it's really important. It's not that complicated. This is what I just said. You might say things that will cause others to have thoughts that will create hurtful feelings. You have your thoughts that create your feelings. Others have their thoughts that create their feelings. The only reason why your siblings might feel disappointed or angry about you not being at your father's funeral is because of what they are thinking about it. Or if your mom is angry at you because you are living across the world and not next to her, is because of what she is thinking about it, not because of what you did. She can be thinking, oh my gosh, my little girl is living her dream life. I am so happy for her. Yes, she's away, but I have so many amazing people around me, family and friends. I am loved and supported. If she was thinking this would create feelings of acceptance and appreciation, right? But she also could be thinking, I can't believe she moved so far away. I did everything for her and she left me here all alone. It's all her fault. Now, these kind of thoughts would cause her to feel sad and lonely and frustrated, right? But she would be feeling this because of what she is thinking, not because you have moved. You cannot cause other people to feel feelings. Their thoughts create their feelings, just like your thoughts create yours. So first and foremost, please fire yourself from that responsibility. It is not your job to make someone feel happy or loved or appreciated. You cannot control other people's minds, and you cannot control their feelings. What you can control is what you are thinking and feeling and how you are behaving. And since your thoughts create your feelings, you can create all different kinds of emotions. You can create acceptance and aggression, courage, trust, doubt, humiliation, gladness, self-criticism, loneliness, worry, sense of responsibility or satisfaction, self-hatred, vulnerability, and many more. Why is that? Why can we create all these emotions? Because our brains can come up with all different kinds of thoughts. Listen, I like to think about guilt as kind of like one of those emotions that is like a red flag. If I'm feeling guilty about something, I need to pay attention. I need to pay attention to my thoughts. What's really happening in my brain? Why am I feeling this emotion? And guilt will, most of the time, 99% of the time, will show you where your lower brain is running the show. So let me explain this piece. So guilt is created by your thoughts about something or someone, circumstance, situation, about yourself. That's what is creating the guilt, is your thoughts about something. And what is creating your thoughts? It's your brain, right? Brain delivers thoughts. Now, I'm going to simplify this really terribly. Since you're just listening to a podcast, I'm going to make it very, very simple and easy to understand. I want to tell you right now about two main areas that deliver thoughts. Your lower brain and your higher brain, also called prefrontal cortex. Majority of the thoughts you have come from your lower brain. The lower brain's job is to keep you surviving in this reality. I like to think of the lower brain as a scanner. It scans your reality very fast, 5 cycles per second, looking for what is wrong in your world. It does this to warn you. But as it's scanning, it's focusing on the negative, right? And remember, the world is 50-50. Half of it is good, half of it is bad. But by default, the majority of the thoughts will be coming from that part that only looks at the negative. Do you see why it's so hard to just be happy and positive in life? That's why. That's one of the biggest reasons. But I have some good news. You also have a prefrontal cortex. This is a part of the brain where you can analyze and you can plan and you can dream. This part of the brain uses a lot of extra energy. So by default, it's not going to be the first area where the thoughts are going to be coming from, because your brain is all about sufficiency, about not using a lot of energy and just keeping you surviving in this reality. So when I say to you to explore where you're feeling guilt, you're going to have to write down what are you thinking about the situation. And I am suggesting here that you write down what is most likely coming from your lower brain. The negative thoughts causing guilt will be right at front of you on a piece of paper, and then you can analyze them with prefrontal cortex. And you can understand yourself, right? You can see why you have been feeling low. Why have you been beating yourself up? It's gonna be easier to understand yourself. Now, since you have that higher brain, the prefrontal cortex, you can also decide what you want to be thinking about it. Because again, what is an upside to feeling guilty? Not much, right? Unless you use guilt as a warning. So the guilt comes up, you explore it, and then you decide on purpose what you want to be thinking about it. You take action for yourself, because guilt, like I've explored before, is just gonna make you feel low about yourself. You'll be criticizing yourself. That will be affecting how you show up in your life, how you show up in your days. There's no upside really to it, other than, like I said, it's a warning. So when it comes up, explore it and then choose what is it that you want to be thinking about the situation instead. Because you can decide if you want to be beating yourself up for whatever that it is that has happened or not. You can accept that as a human being with human brain, a human that will make choices that sometimes affect others in a negative way. So you are a human being. You are not perfect. That's okay. You are not Jesus walking on water. Please do not expect yourself to be Jesus walking on water. Like, seriously. You are you, and that's okay. Sometimes part of the work is that we literally have to decide to give ourselves space to be selfish and angry and judgmental and frustrated and condescending and hurtful and impatient. and accept that we have done those things that we have done, and we have been frustrated and condescending and hurtful and angry and selfish. And that's all right, because you are a human. As a human, you're gonna feel these emotions from time to time. That's okay. It's literally just part of the experience. So first of all, I suggest that whatever has happened in the past that might be causing your feelings of guilt, I want to suggest that you simply accept it. Accept it. Say to yourself, I did not go to my dad's funeral. I couldn't go. That's okay. Nothing I can do about it now. It's in the past. Or if you're beating yourself up because you, as an immigrant, live very far away from your loved ones and you feel guilty about it, same thing. I want to invite you to accept it. I moved far away from my family and I can't be there with them all the time. That's okay. That could be one of the thoughts. Because this is your life situation. This is where you are at. Accept it. Accepting will feel more peaceful, right? Like we're not arguing with life. We're not arguing with the things that we cannot change. If it's a situation that you are currently in, what can you change? What can you influence? Can you go visit your family? Can you decide how much time you spend with them and what do you do during the time? If building family connections is important to you, you can decide ahead of time. How will you be spending your time to build these deeper relationships? Because we all know that you can be in the same room with someone and worlds apart. And you can also talk to someone on Zoom or Facebook Messenger or Skype and be present with them. Hear what they are telling you. Connect with them in this deeper human way. If you can't support your mom in person on a daily basis, okay, but what can you do for her? Maybe it's gonna be an hour phone call twice a week. Always at the same time, same day, so you both can plan on it. You can decide ahead of time that you're going to be patient and loving and understanding when you're talking to her, because you love her so much and you want to show up from that place. There's a lot of things that you can actually decide ahead of time. You can decide how you show up, what you think about your loved ones, what you think about yourself in these relationships. And when you decide ahead of time and act from that place, what you're doing is you're using your prefrontal cortex. You're not just going with the automatic negative first thought that shows up in your head from the lower brain. You're actually deciding for yourself on purpose. So whom do you want to be in relationships with other people? If you feel guilty about the situation from the past because you have hurt someone, and you know, right, because you have seen the reaction to your words, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to think about yourself in that situation? What do you want to think about the other person today? And just exploring, what is the upside to me beating myself up? And what is the upside to acceptance, right? When we start accepting things, we feel different. We feel more at peace. And when we feel more at peace, we show up differently in our relationships on the daily basis. We show up differently at work. We show up differently in our day. We don't have this like heaviness that we're carrying around. So I want to invite you into acceptance, and I also want to invite you into deciding for yourself, deciding on purpose, how you want to show up ahead of time, how you want to build these relationships. Even if someone is far away, it does not matter that much. They can still feel your love and support. And at the end of this, I do want to tell you that if this is confusing and you're having a really hard time applying it to your life, I can help you. You can hire me to help you figure this out. I'm a life coach. That's what I do. Right now, I have few openings in my one-on-one practice. So if you need a life coach, just go to my website. That's lifecoachforimmigrants.com. Schedule free consultation with me. You can tell me then what's going on in your life, and if I can help you, I will explain how I would do that. I want to be of service to you. So reach out to me if you need help figuring out why is it that you feel guilty? Why do you feel low? All right, my friends, thank you for listening. As you can see, this podcast is newer. I don't have a lot of episodes, but I do want to invite you to please rate it for me. That would really make a big difference. Leave a review if you can. Take a moment to do this, especially if this information that I shared with you today was helpful. All right, my friends, have a wonderful the rest of the day, and I will talk to you next time.